Welcome, everybody, to episode number 100 of the NoDQ review here.com and the YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody out there for...
There needs to be more, legal action, whatever. We're not going to get into that because it's too controversial. But great topic. Understand it. I'm sure the NoDQ Galaxy might ask some questions about it. Greg Cherry, now it's your turn. I know you're going to have something riveting. What's up?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? Mine's a little bit more lighthearted. Obviously brought the belt to promote Wrestling Trivia Challenge because it's still going on. 830 plus days as champion. It's insane. The road to 1,000 for me continues. But the topic that I have in mind is a little bit more lighthearted. I remember talking about the switchover from the 2K series of WWE video games to, was it Battlegrounds that's coming out later this year? And just the overall discussion of WWE video games, because if you know me, love wrestling, love video games, love sports, love game shows. That's basically me in a nutshell. So the fact that we got to talk about a combination of things that I personally love made for a great topic for me.
Great. Yeah, and I'm actually looking forward to that video game because it's something different, and it's not going to be something they come out with every year. They'll get back on track to what the realistic one. All right. Jeff Meacham, you kind of told me you had a slew of things. I wonder where this is going to go. Is it going to be a big snowball rolling down the hill here?
No, unfortunately, I'll make it brief. I know you guys usually, like to hear me long-winded. Wink, wink. No, you don't. My memorable topic we talked about had nothing to do with topics itself. It was my introduction to the show on episode 11 when I got compared to a paperboy down the street or something collecting the money. I was flabbergasted at the audacity of it all, but it worked out. I end up coming back more often than the other two hosts that day did. It was a wonderful experience, and just honestly, the most memorable thing I think of the last 2.5 years, if we're being honest, it's the elephant in the room. It's the COVID. We went deep into the weeds on it a couple times on this show because it is so predominant in our world right now. It's completely, pardon the phrase, Aaron, but it's completely bat crazy right now in the world. We're starting to level off a little bit, I'll be honest with you, but that has changed everything. I was at a friend's house yesterday, seeing them for the first time in 6 months because they came in from Nevada, I think it was, and no live entertainment, no live sports, everything is shut down. We're just now getting back into restaurants. So to think, I got told about, don't be planning your live WrestleMania shows because it might not happen. It's like, I have to think that way or I'm going to go cuckoo with despair. Like, oh my God, there will be no live WrestleMania in my backyard for the first time like I've been hoping for 10 years, 15 years. So it just sucks. So that's been predominant is the COVID by far.
And when I was looking to pick mine, I looked at the one episode we talked about how it affected WrestleMania. I almost was going to make that mine, but it wasn't. So very good honorable mention for me and super topic for you. Before I state mine, Aaron Rift.
Okay, so first of all, I wanted to get a few of the super chats out of the way. By the way,
we know that. Every time it's your turn, that's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. We also had a few technical issues starting off this stream. We should be fine now. We should be smooth sailing the rest of the way. What happened was, for some reason, the hotspot on the phone was still on, and I think that was causing problems at the beginning. But we're good now. No more
Aaron,
issues.
That was a tribute to episode 99. That's all that was. So
yeah.
We're at 100 right now. So go.
All right. So Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat, the first one of the evening, says, I would rather watch 100 episodes of Rift Aronson than a Ricochet promo. Seriously, though, congrats on 100 episodes. You guys lasted longer than EC3. At least on the main roster we did.
EC3's coming back to Impact. So he's coming back, baby. So
now, wait a minute. Greg, trivia question, when did EC3 start with NXT?
With NXT, that would have been his first match when he came back was for NXT TakeOver New Orleans in the 6-person ladder match. So I think we did actually last longer than EC3 did in WWE.
Yeah, because didn't the reviews start after WrestleMania that year?
Before?
No, reviews started in January of 2018.
Okay.
Hey, we lasted longer. We lasted longer than Warrior's 1996 WWF run.
Damn.
Ouch. I think we lasted longer than his WCW run, too.
Yes, for sure.
I think those 2 runs combined, we lasted longer.
Combined, I think so.
Yeah.
Virtue is my daddy with a $2 super chat, a.k.a. Adrian. He says, no suit, Virtue. I'm disappointed.
This, of all the shirts Aaron's allowed me to have, and I love sporting the NoDQ logo, so this does have it on there. Like, I'm telling you, I'm the biggest mark for this shirt. And I don't care if nobody wants to wear it. I loved it, and I'm glad that big, medium-sized Cass. He was one of your opponents once, Greg Cherry at the Wrestling Trivia. And I think, he actually helped design this. So thank you. Shout out to him.
Big Cass. Love it. Medium-sized Cass, sorry.
Medium, yeah.
And Big G sent in a $2 super chat, says, took one for the team. In case you guys missed the beginning because of the technical issues, Big G was unable to be part of the panel tonight because of this software not handling 6 people. I guess it's just
he's
much.
Guaranteed on the next week he can be on. Guaranteed no matter what.
So we very much appreciate Big G and his contributions. He's really been a big part of the NoDQ review, and he's been very reliable. So thank you, Big G, for everything. We really do appreciate it. And now a $5 super chat from Infamous Christian, and then I promise we'll get moving along with this. He says, hello, guys. Congrats on 1,000 episodes. He put 1,000.
He means 100. He corrected himself later.
Okay. Congrats on 100 episodes. And Mr. Meacham, I'm sorry I let you down on Twitter to follow through to challenge Mr. Cherry. It's been hectic.
You let me down more on spelling my name wrong after 18 years of doing this. So, there's that. But thank you. I appreciate that. We'll get you lined up. We'll make it happen.
So, Aaron, before we come back to me, I still want your most memorable topic from these 100 episodes.
It would have to be anything related to Roman Reigns, because I think Reigns brought in the big numbers for the NoDQ review. Whether you love him or hate him, Roman Reigns is a guy that you can discuss, you can debate. We had the great NoDQ debate back in the day. That was fun with Stefan and you, Virtue. But I would say probably WrestleMania 36 with Roman Reigns backing out at the last minute, and that really felt like an unpredictable time. Like, we didn't know what was going to happen with WrestleMania, with COVID-19, Roman Reigns bowing out. Like, we were wondering what's going to happen on this pay-per-view. Nobody really knew what to expect, and I think that made for some really fun discussion and talking about the possibilities for the WrestleMania event. So that was probably my whole favorite period, even though it wasn't exactly an ideal time for everybody. Just the fact that we had so many interesting topics to discuss. I think those were my favorite videos just a couple months ago.
And those are good choices there. And as easy as it could have been for me to pick Roman was always a numbers booster. When I looked at the views and I saw they were down any given week, I immediately wanted a Roman discussion. And every following week, boom, numbers up. But I researched all 100 episodes, and I went all the way back to 1. I looked at all of them, and you know what? Something that's kind of relevant now more so today. This was maybe 12, 13 episodes ago. I don't remember. But Matt Riddle, obviously, we know he's in the headlines. And we're not going to discuss any of that because in this world, you are innocent until proven guilty. There is a process. WWE proceeded to push him on SmackDown. His first night, there's legal notices all over Twitter, right? We're not going to talk about that. What was most memorable to me, because I said from day one this will happen, is the heat he has with Brock Lesnar and Vince, and it gains somebody's attention. Because since then now, he's on the main roster, and I'm telling you what, if Vince McMahon wants something to happen, he will make it happen. And let's be honest, what exciting stuff could we get in WWE these days? A Matt Riddle versus Brock Lesnar down the road when it's time at a big event will draw a lot of interest because of the heat, right? And look, whether it's real or not, I'm telling you what, this is something, and I'm excited about that. So Matt Riddle and Brock Lesnar heat, most memorable because it carries over. Yes, sir.
Okay, so Report Card Radio asked us to mention his favorite moment, which was Big Vito predicting Carmella to cash in Money in the Bank. I guess not predicting, but pitching the idea of Carmella cashing in on Brock Lesnar. Come on.
Well, hey, Tessa Blanchard became the Impact champion. Charlotte Flair's talking about wrestling men, Undertaker, Orton, or whoever. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's Carmella. Maybe that's why it was a joke, but look what the wrestling business is trying to do. And it's, it's all fair. It's a good opinion. And too bad we couldn't have Vito back. But he wants to come back to do some of these shows, so we'll have to see. It's all a timing thing, though, when we record these. So, all right, we're ready to move on to the next one. I don't want to talk about Backlash other than the greatest wrestling match ever, because that was the main highlight from the show, and it's already been almost a week since it aired. Everybody's thoughts on this. Yes, we knew it was going to be heavily edited. They piped in the crowd noise. Now, it's weird because a lot of people said for WrestleMania they should put digital boards up. I know, Stefan, you mentioned that. But fans, I heard dirt sheet writers saying this. How are we going to watch WrestleMania without fans? They need to do something. Pipe in noise. I don't care. As this match was happening, I saw that getting criticized. And I'm like, a lot of people wanted that, 2 months ago or however long ago that was. So what's everybody's take on the greatest wrestling match ever? And I will start with you, Jeff Meacham. And Edge got injured on a reshoot nonetheless. And so have at it on this topic. Go.
I said all week, ever since they announced that, and since they started using the greatest match ever hype, that it was destined for failure. They were setting up Adam Copeland and Randy Orton to do nothing but either fail or try so hard to deliver that one of them was going to get hurt, and I'll be damned, exactly what happened. Did it disappoint? No, not in my opinion. It was a great match. Was it the greatest match of all time? We can all in this room probably say, no, it was not the greatest match of all time. One of? Probably, but not the greatest. And Edge got hurt. I felt freaking Nostradamus-like when I said one of them was going to get hurt because they were going to try too hard to make it the greatest thing of all time. And it was so disappointing that it happened, that Edge got hurt, and now they have to, do whatever they're going to do with Randy Orton until Edge comes back. It is a big letdown, and it's very disappointing. So
and he gets hurt on that match, but not the last man standing match. That's kind of crazy.
Right? Like they destroyed each other and the entire PC in that match, and both of them walked away with bumps, bruises, typical that stats in their life, soreness. They have a wrestling match and Edge tears his bicep, like that, or tricep, whatever it was. Like, the hell, really?
Yeah. It was... All right, well, thank you for that thought. And Stephen Osborne, what is your take on this, Mr. NXT guy?
Okay, I thought this was an okay match, but it was far from the greatest match. I thought it was far from a great match, period. The first half of it was mostly boring. The only thing I really liked in this match that was different was the way that Orton sort of dodged or countered a few of the moves that Edge went to do, like the basic moves, like an arm drag, and it would cause Edge to fall in an awkward way and be embarrassed. There was like 2 or 3 spots of that towards the beginning. The rest of it, though, was just so regular. Like, they promised video angles that were going to, or like camera angles that were going to be nifty. I think I noticed one angle that was different from anything I've ever seen them do, and that was when they locked up at the beginning, that camera angle from underneath them. Yeah. But then they immediately came back to a camera angle that proved that there was nobody underneath there to do that camera. And it was completely unbelievable from that point on for me to sit there and be like, oh, like this is going on in real time. Because they obviously had to stop, bring a guy in, put him underneath, view an angle of them locking up, back off, and then have them lock up again. They broke the wall right from the beginning. And from that point on, I didn't care that it was a cinematic match. Because it was just absurd. The absurdity of that. And anyway... And then everything else was just kind of regular. I kind of like the spot where they used, like the pedigree and the uranagi, the rock bottom. But people have done that before. Like, this was far from the greatest match. And the fact that they couldn't end it without the punt, which I called from like 3 minutes before he did it, and Edge actually getting injured, just proves that this shouldn't have happened. They should have had a regular match, not cinematic. They should have just done a regular match, 15 to 20 minutes, done it really, really good. And I bet you it would have been great if they hadn't have promoted it as the greatest match ever. This was just disappointing.
All right. Now, for every reason that Stefan didn't like this match, I absolutely did. Was it the greatest? Absolutely not. It was a rib to the dirt sheets and the star system. But just the fact that an NXT fan that likes all the crappy, flipping and flying and kickouts, and that's the new wrestling. And Stefan, I respect that that's what you love. That's why I like you. But I also like to argue with you, disagree with you. And I like the old school boring arm drag, Randy Orton style matches, because I just care about story, right? I just care about the feud, the psychological, what Randy Orton does best. I don't care if the match is great. So I loved it. This catered to me and old school fans.
Well, for me, slowing down a pay-per-view match is just an arm drag, man. It's an arm drag. Slowing down a pay-per-view match makes no sense because you do it during, the week because you have to go to commercial. Okay,
well,
so have a few arm drags with some restful.
The more matches are like AEW and NXT, the less people are watching. No Roman Reigns, the worst ratings of all time. No Brock Lesnar, ratings are awful. We get it, right? There's a niche. What people like wrestling today, like NXT style, it's a niche. Greg Cherry, I'm going to pass it to you now.
Yes, and, I have to disagree with Stefan because I enjoyed this match thoroughly. I enjoy the psychology of everything. I thought the use of the different finishers was not really to parody anybody. I just thought it was a nod to the previous great wrestlers of different generations. And the fact that they brought the punt back, which I don't think has been used since at least 5 or 6 years, ever since all the concussion stuff started. I thought it was great that they brought it back. It was not completely expected, but, there was a little semblance of, hey, he's going to use the punt. And he actually connected and didn't kick out. I enjoyed it. I liked the little bit with Howard Finkel in the beginning, too, since he just passed away this year. It brought not a tear to my eye necessarily, but it was a nice nod to the greatest ring announcer of all time.
It does absolutely suck that Edge got hurt and on a reshoot nonetheless. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But and I say, look at the new style of wrestling, and people get hurt all the time and this and that because it looks dangerous when they flip. Who was that guy in NXT that took the bump on the stairs? You know what I mean? It's like, so any injuries can happen for anything. Aaron Rift, you're up.
All right, so before I get to the super chats, and we have quite a few, which I very much appreciate from you guys, I thought the match was great. I thought it was very entertaining to watch. I liked the production of it. I think that for what it was very well done. Now, ideally, I would have done things differently. I would have done a regular match at WrestleMania and then do a Falls Count Anywhere match at Backlash instead of doing this greatest wrestling match tagline. But I think it was entertaining. I was satisfied with it when it was all said and done. As far as Edge's injury goes, that's what happens when you're pushing 50 and you're still going out there. He went out there for over 40 minutes. Hats off to him. It sucks about the injury, but maybe it was for the best. Maybe it's best for him to step away for a while until we get the crowds back, and then we could see Edge perform with an audience. That's what I think people really want to see. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise for Edge. Now,
and he'll come back. He'll heal. He'll heal up.
Yeah, I think he'll be back. I don't think he's done. I believe he will wrestle again. Let's go ahead and get to these super chats here. Why am I hearing an echo of myself?
Well, whoever doesn't have headphones on might need to lower their volumes because that's the only thing that I can think of.
Well, anyways, I'll try to get through this here. Gabe sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Gabe. He says, now that Edge and Orton are tied, they will have the rubber match in what could be the greatest arm wrestling match ever. I hope not. I think they were probably going to do a rubber match if Edge did not get hurt. But now that Edge will not be back until seemingly the end of the year, Royal Rumble time next year, I say just let them be 1-1, move on and do something else. Rock and Cena did not have their third match, thankfully. I think Edge and Orton, let it be, move on to something else. I want to see Edge against different people. Just my own personal preference. Now, we do have a $50 super chat from Adrian. Thank you, Adrian. He likes to troll on here. He likes to pick on Virtue in particular. He says, in all seriousness, guys, happy 100th episode. Thank you, Adrian, again. We do appreciate it. And then we got a very generous $100 super chat from Ian Joplin. He says, happy 100 episodes, guys. Virtue, when are you going to do a show with the GOAT, Vince Russo?
I believe that's
I
Ian.
was on one of his shows with him once, but it's just kind of he's a busy man. He's a busy man, and he does a lot of stuff with ex-pro wrestlers. So
I believe it's Ian Joplin.
Oh, my bad then. I apologize for that, but thank you so much for that super
Vince
chat.
Vince is busy dealing with attacks from people that claim to be journalists. So that's he's a busy man.
Whoa, Jeff Meacham dropping a bomb.
He gets his fair share of controversy too, but.
Well, I said that it's like, you know what? For all that we've had good interactions with Vince, the crap being flung at him doesn't surprise me. But consider the source.
So you
got some more, Aaron, before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, I guess Jeff is not going to be on Team Ryan Satin anytime soon.
No.
None of us will be. I mean, we shouldn't be.
I'm not.
Johnny Boy sent in a $10 super chat. Thank you, Johnny. He says, happy 100. Do you guys feel this is some of Randy Orton's best work? I'm a huge Legend Killer fan, but this has been some good stuff. Why did you say you were a huge Legend Killer fan, but as if you were disagreeing? I mean, you said you're a huge fan, so.
Anytime Randy is motivated, it's always this good.
Yep,
That's true.
Yeah, Randy Orton has been really solid. Like, he's not the best wrestler of all time. He's not the best technical wrestler. He's not the best brawler. He's not the best promo. But I think as far as being well-rounded, he's one of the best. He's really good in every category. So to me, like, and if you were ranking a guy, like, he's like an 8 or a 9 in every category. So that's pretty damn good.
He is exactly what Evolution was supposed to be. He was supposed to evolve from the greatest of, quote-unquote, our generation, Triple H, the greatest of the greatest generation, Ric Flair. He is that evolution. He is that guy.
I'd like to see him and Charlotte form Legacy again and maybe find a third person. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I know because WWE always rehashes stuff. Why not? It'd be kind of cool. All right, Aaron, any more before we move on?
Yeah, TJS, our man TJS with the $2 super chat says, watching on demand during work Monday, happy 100. Thank you for that, TJS, and thank you for being on for many episodes over the past 2.5 years. And Power Packers 90, a long-time viewer and supporter with a $2 super chat, says, at work now and just wanted to say congrats for 100. Thank you for that, Power Packers. We do appreciate it. I think we're caught up now. So Virtue, let's move out.
There needs to be more managers in wrestling, and we know Heyman has kind of been that staple, the only one really. And I'm not talking like a Zelina Vega. I'm talking like what I've seen, and I think Aaron will agree with me on this, recently from MVP. Almost like he's a what do they call it in sports? An agent. Almost like, wearing the suit, doing a lot of, and Heyman's kind of been that too, but I'd like to see MVP. I'd like to see more managers in wrestling again. Now, yes, there was an overabundance of them back in the 80s and early 90s. That was awesome back then. So maybe not do that, but I'd like to see a few of them. And I would like to see, like, maybe Apollo Crews join his group. I'd like to see a little Heenan family. They tried this with the Heyman stuff. It just never worked because they always focused on the main guy of the group. So, Greg Cherry, you've done some managerial work in the Indies like me. I'm going to start with you on this topic, and I think MVP's done a great job. Can you see anybody else do it? Can they expand on this? Is it a dead gimmick in 2020?
I don't think so at all. I mean, look at friggin' Paul Ellering when he came back with the Authors of Pain. I mean, he was a solid manager for them, and he managed LOD back in the day. And he still did his job well, absolutely well. Malcolm Bivens in NXT, I think he's going to do a great job. I love what they're doing with MVP. MVP has always been a great talker, and using him in the role he is now, I would like to see, like you said, Apollo Crews. I'd like to see Shelton Benjamin. I've always been a big Shelton Benjamin fan. I don't know why he's not getting his due. He hasn't done anything in 2 years. Give him some credit. Why did you sign him back if you're not going to do anything with him. He is a ridiculous athlete who can do so much. And if you give him MVP as his mouthpiece, you could make him a freaking world champion. Not the way you've been booking him lately, but Shelton Benjamin could be a world champion with MVP as his mouthpiece. Personal opinion. But no, I don't think the managerial gimmick is dead. And like you said, Zelina Vega is kind of a manager, but I personally like Zelina Vega as a manager. But there aren't as many like valet types. I don't think the manager gimmick is dead. I know I'm rambling a lot, but
no, and like the work that Jake's done a little bit in AEW, I don't think he's necessarily a manager, but I would love to see it. But yeah, thanks for those opinions there. Stephen Osborne, what do you take? Doesn't NXT, weren't they trying to push a manager guy that used to be a TNA guy, Robbie E, whatever his name is?
They are
is that type of a manager type thing or not really? Like, what's your take on this whole?
They are currently pushing Robbie E, and one of the more entertaining things on NXT every week, I think, is him being just this disheveled guy, almost a drunk, and just like completely bummed about being fired by Chelsea Green. And anyway, I personally would love to go back 6-8 months, maybe a year, and talk to MVP and tell him that not only is he going to be on an episode of Raw where he's there from start to finish, 3 hours of MV fucking P, but he is going to main event the show for the WWE Championship.
Right.
Just leave out the part about the tag match and R-Truth and all that stupid stuff. But yeah, like MVP is so good, but that's the thing. He is so good, and he fills that role well, and they've got a gem in him. He's got that show, the VIP lounge. He can be a manager, he can be a wrestler still, we've seen. Zelina Vega, she fills that void, that mouthpiece void that these guys need because they don't speak English very well. She does it good. They have spots where they need these, and it seems like they're afraid to really use them like they should. Managers, mouthpieces, whatever you want to call them, because they don't want to give these guys crutches. They want them to evolve and learn how to do the promos themselves. Also, with a crutch comes the possibility, much like a tag team. If your partner goes down, you go down. Suddenly, you've got two people that you're paying to not do anything because somebody's injured. I feel like if a proper manager got injured, they just use it in the gimmick, and he'd still show up every day and do the talking.
Well, that's why you might need to manage a few people. You know what I mean? Like Heenan did back in the day. Well,
or like Zelina Vega. I really like Zelina Vega in this position. She does it very well. She does what these guys need, and that's get on the microphone and talk. Of course, Angel Garza is a little bit of an exception, but definitely Andrade. He needs her. So I don't think it's a lost art necessarily. I just think that they use it when they really have to, and when they feel like they don't need it, they drop it because they see it as this crutch, this possibility of, having two guys that go on unemployment for a little while because somebody gets injured. And also, like I said, they want the guy to do his own promos, learn how to do it.
Well, and I get that. And I, Aaron, I like, because when you can't manage somebody forever, but like, remember when Andre finally decided he had enough of Heenan? It was when Andre couldn't hardly do anything anymore, and they just lost the tag titles to Demolition again. That was great stuff, right? So, Aaron, what's your take here?
I think MVP.
I know you like MVP.
Yeah, I think he's doing a great job as the manager of Lashley, and I feel like Lashley is the most relevant he's been in WWE, as Greg said in the chat room, not Greg Cherry. Someone asked, what's the difference between a manager and a valet? I always thought of a valet as like a female who comes out there and accompanies somebody to ringside, but I feel like a manager does more, cuts promos, and is more involved in the storylines. But yeah, I mean, you could use the term for, I guess, MVP, not really a valet. I would not call him a valet.
Well, yeah, remember the term valet, as far as the quote unquote real world, you're talking about valet is somebody that accompanies somebody that, like Virgil was as much of a valet as he was a bodyguard, because he was there, doing DiBiase's, servant work type stuff. So that was a valet role. So there's that. But then again, Liz was a valet, and she's definitely not a servant or anything. She was a manager. So the words are so convoluted now. It's crazy. Anyway.
And to answer Michael, he asked if this is MVP's best run of his career. I did like the stuff he did with Matt Hardy. That was very entertaining. And maybe that first 6 months of MVP's run, he was a pretty big deal in WWE. He kind of fizzled out over time. But yeah, right now he's doing excellent in the manager role, in my opinion. We do have a few super chats here. Shanti with a $2 super chat says, Shanti is here for NoDQ 100. Much love. Thank you for that, Shanti. We do appreciate it very much. And Adrian sent in another $5. Thank you so much, Adrian. He says, MVP is a mouthpiece. It's good for Lashley, but he's no Abraham Washington. Wow, this is
You're right. He's not.
It's better.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I liked AW until he made the rape joke when he was managing primetime players. Then I was like, yeah, you gotta go. You can't
See you later, Abe. That's it. Yeah,
you can't do it. You're very talented, but don't do that, man.
Yeah, I'd like to see more managers. I'm not sure if it's going to happen because Vince McMahon is reportedly against the idea. He thinks managers are too outdated. But I want to see managers make a comeback. Now, I don't think it'll go back to the way it was in the 80s with all the over-the-top managers all over the place. But, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing a manager on SmackDown. We got MVP on Raw. We got MVP and Paul Heyman. Maybe on SmackDown, add a manager. Maybe Robert Stone could eventually get called up as long as he's not throwing up on people or in the ring.
Interesting.
Mike Garcia sent in a $2 super chat, going a little bit off topic here, but I'll answer it real quick. Edge versus Taker, WrestleMania 24, or Rock versus Taker at No Way Out 02. I do not remember the 02 match, so WrestleMania for sure, and I think most of the people here would agree. Jeff?
Yeah, I was at 24, so I'll definitely go with that.
Yeah, I mean, I figured. I do not even remember the 02 match, to be totally honest.
I remember the basics of it, but it was pretty much a throwaway to get Taker from Rumble to Mania. It was designed to get Flair in the mix with Taker by interfering in the match with The Rock. That's exactly what that match was for.
That's all.
No, Jeff, it's your turn. You did some managing too, didn't you?
I did, indeed.
So have at it.
I missed the manager role, and I cherished it when I had it. You know, it's we were talking about, I think with Greg on it was either on Talk Wrestling or on Rewind, that I got to manage against the Young Bucks before the Young Bucks became the Buzz team. Right? They were still in their infancy, so it was cool for me to interact with those guys on a regular basis. So that was fun. You notice when Paul Heyman was the executive director, there was exactly one full-time manager on the two on the roster, himself and Zelina Vega, and Paul was just with Brock. Now, when Paul wasn't in charge of the creative and it was Vince and whoever, Paul managed, I think, like half the roster at one point because he was with Axel and with Ryback, and he was teasing with Punk, and he was still with Brock. So
did he manage Cesaro for a little bit too?
Exactly. He matched Cesaro after WrestleMania 30. So, I don't think they're necessarily opposed to the manager role. They just don't have who they feel is the right person to be in that role. Paul, you could put Paul with a broomstick. The broomstick will end the streak. Like, that's just the way it is. These other people that they want to groom to do promos, like you said, I believe Stefan said it, and Virtue as well. They want these guys to know how to cut promos. They have a promo class at NXT. Dusty used to run it. So they don't want these guys to have to lean on a Paul or a Zelina or whoever. They want these guys to be able to do their own thing. Now, like you said, Andrade needs the mouthpiece. His language barrier is significant. So I don't think the managerial role is dead. I think it's more of Vince doesn't want to have, the people that they had in the 80s where they just, everybody's got somebody, and then we just can't get rid of these guys in 10 years. The famous line from Bobby Heenan, the 04 Hall of Fame. You had this guy, and you had Lou Albano, who refused to be fired. So there was so many managers. It was like, fuck's sake, why so many?
How about a Bill Alfonso type?
If they can find a way to keep the whistle as far away from Bill Alfonso as possible, I'm all about it. I love Fonzie to pieces, but I can't stand that damn whistle.
All right, well, great talk on that. So we'll move on to this one. And I've been seeing, I don't know how true with the Vince McMahon statement, but These comparisons kind of bother me. Like, oh, Garza is like Eddie Guerrero, Guevara is like Eddie Guerrero, or even a Chris Jericho. All right, that's cool, but let's just let them be themselves and be the next Guevara, the next Garza. So when you get comparisons like this, what's everyone's take? Like, I kind of cringe. Like, and I probably was guilty of this 10 years ago where I thought it was cool to compare people to the past. Jericho to Shawn Michaels. But no, when I think of Jericho, I don't think of Shawn Michaels. I think of Jericho. And that's how I want to think of these new wrestlers. So, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, Stefan, I'll start with you on this.
You see it a lot in NXT, these guys that are influenced by the, I don't know, legends, the Hall of Famers, and you can tell by their in-ring style. But it's hard to really point at a lot of guys and say, they are just like so-and-so. They're just like Macho Man, or they're just like Booker T, or whoever. Because there's a lot of similarities, but like Montez Ford, he seems to pull from a lot of different guys. And you'll see it periodically, but never, I don't know, Velveteen Dream, he pulls from the Macho Man a lot, but his gimmick really doesn't scream, I'm just like Macho Man. So I think it's more about the guys picking, what they use from other people so that they don't get compared just to one guy. It's kind of on, if you've got a guy that you're like, seriously, they are just like Shawn Michaels. They're like a mini Shawn Michaels. That's not a good thing, because they don't need to be known. Like you said, it's cringe-worthy to me in a different way, because these guys should be doing their job better and not just mimicking some guy that trained them or some guy that
Do you think that hurt
grew
Ziggler over the years by not getting he got pushed, but by not getting a true long-term push by being the Shawn Michaels? Like, do you think that hurt like a Ziggler based on what you just said?
I really never compared Ziggler to Shawn Michaels until the internet community did.
Moves. Yeah, okay. So a lot of people did.
Yeah, that's where I started to see the comparison, and then he just made it worse by using the super kick more and more and more, to the point to where the super kick is more like his finishing move, because nobody ever gets pinned off of a zigzag, ever. I can't remember the last time a zigzag by itself, it's always a near fall, always. Super kick, he'll win a match. And that's another thing that disturbs me, is when people use somebody's moves so often, and then with Ziggler, for some reason, the super kick's a finisher, but everybody else, it's always a near fall. And this has gotten worse with the stunner. The stunner for 20 years never got used. Nobody used even a variation of it. Now they're doing stunners off of everything. Stunners coming off of the ropes.
You mean besides Austin and then briefly Disco Inferno, right?
Well, no, I mean just Austin, yeah.
Yeah, Disco Inferno, Chartbuster, right?
Chartbuster, baby.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to zigzag to Aaron Rift on this topic, and he might have some more chats to talk about. See how I did that?
Yeah.
Aaron?
Yeah, we do have a $5 super chat from the Cleaver, Colin Andrew. He says, cheers to number 100. Much love to the NoDQ family. Thank you very much for that, Colin. Very much appreciated. All right, so Angel Garza, my thoughts on him and people comparing him to Eddie Guerrero. I think that's fine to make the comparisons, but I would not make too big of a deal out of it, because then you start setting unrealistic expectations, just like with the greatest wrestling match ever. Like, let him be the first Angel Garza. He doesn't need to be the next Eddie Guerrero. He should be something different, be himself. Yeah, it would be nice to take some elements from what Eddie Guerrero did and put that into your own act. I'm totally cool with that. But he should be his own guy, do his own thing, and not become a carbon copy of Eddie Guerrero, where it's obvious what they're going for. I think WWE definitely wants to build up a new Latino superstar, and Angel Garza certainly has some charisma and personality. He could be that guy, but I think you got to let him be his own person and not be Eddie 2.0.
All right, well said. Jeff Meacham, back to you.
Well, somebody brought up in the chat room that, and I'm going to go ahead and say it on the air because it holds relevance in my eyes. People were talking about, Cena was the next Hogan or Ryback was the next Goldberg. The difference there is Cena was the next Hogan as far as the face of the company. He was the guy that became that face. Whereas Ryback had the same skill level as Billy Boy with about a tenth of the charisma. So there's that. As far as
I would even say Ryback was more skilled than Goldberg. I would say that, honestly. I've watched them both.
Well, no, I think Ryan is far less dangerous in the ring overall than Bill ended up being. I will agree with that. How about that? As far as Garza, yeah, I do not like the fact they're trying to. He's the next Eddie Guerrero, and Guevara's the next Chris Jericho or whoever. Let these guys be themselves, because if you're putting that label on them and they don't live up, then it looks horrible on them. If Angel Garza is Angel Garza and he's allowed to succeed and he does succeed, then it's awesome. Even if he does succeed beyond expectation, it's like, well, he was supposed to. He's the next Eddie Guerrero. So why would we as fans and why would management be compelled to label that guy that strongly? And again, like the greatest match ever, set themselves for failure rather than long-term success.
Well said. Greg Cherry, who is going to be the next Baron Corbin?
Nobody's going to be the next
Damian Priest.
Baron Corbin is good all by himself. Nobody will ever live up to him. No. So, to quote Jeff Meacham, here's the thing. It's not as much of people getting these labels and trying to live up to them. Sometimes the people put the labels on themselves or try and compare themselves to them to try and get themselves over. Case in point, I worked in the Indies with a guy named Ryan Mitchell, who was basically a Shawn Michaels ripoff. He had the long hair, he had the long tights, he did the flying elbow drop, he did the super kick, all this other stuff. And it was very Shawn Michaels-esque. Was he talented? Sure. But was he Shawn Michaels? Absolutely not. And that's not as much a knock to Ryan, because that's what he tried to get over. But he was not going to be Shawn Michaels. Case closed. So the fact that people are putting the labels on these superstars, oh, they're the next this person, the next this person, it's like Jeff said, if they don't live up, it's a failure. And you're also putting a ton of pressure on them to be something that they aren't.
Right.
Let them be who they are. Let them get themselves over. Let them get over for who they are. Because the other people have been over and their time has passed. Let them get over now, as opposed to rehashing old stuff from the past.
Now, what I do like saying is, who the next Roman Reigns is going to be in terms of Vince McMahon pushing him or stuff like that. I do enjoy that. Who's the next Brock Lesnar in terms of the company pushing him. That's cool. But, yeah, emulating previous wrestlers. Let them kind of develop and be their own personality. All right, next topic. We got to talk about AEW, even if it's briefly. So, Stefan, I'll start with you on this because you could skip it if you'd like. I know you're not the big AEW watcher. I just want to know, and I think you talked about it with us a little bit on a few episodes ago, what's the best thing right now in AEW? Now, when I'm watching it, Cody defending the TNT Championship every week. Some people could think that's homage to the old WCW television title. I know ECW had a TV title too. The tag division keeps growing there, right? The FTR is there now. So there's a lot of possibilities there. And, of course, a guy I didn't like originally, but now I'm seeing him mixing up with Chris Jericho. I want to see Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho. That's right, people. I want to see Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho because Jericho is one of my all-time favorites, and I want to see how he makes me believe in Orange Cassidy's work. So that might be the best thing to me right now. I still like Jake and the whole thing with Archer, but, he didn't win that title, so I kind of – it was like a knife to my gut. So, Stefan, got anything here?
I think the best. Who's echoing? Somebody turn their volume back up. Okay, there it is.
Fly, pal.
I think seriously, the best thing for me, at least, about AEW is just the simple fact that it's there. It's an alternative. There's a place for people to go. They're not trapped in WWE, either not doing stuff or doing stuff that's making them miserable. They got a lot of good things going, and I like a lot of the original content like Orange Cassidy. just such a different style of wrestling that he basically had to create for himself. I mean, not a lot of people give him enough credit for, having to create a style of wrestling based off of the idea that he doesn't give a fuck about what's going on. Yep. It's kind of like, it reminds me of that movie, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, where they turned Abraham Lincoln into a vampire hunter, but in doing so, they realized they had to create an entire set of martial arts for somebody wielding an axe. So they literally had to go and create.
That's one from the vault there. I might want to go watch that again. I remember seeing it. But like the bag of oranges,
of time, and I'll tell you what.
Jericho beating Orange Cassidy freshly squeezed with the bag of oranges, like that's that stuff makes me pop. I think I like Orange Cassidy getting beat up, so that's how I enjoy watching him. But anything else?
No, not really. I mean, just to me, the fact that it's there is a positive because it gives hope. Because 5 years ago, we were like, where is this billion-dollar person? This person that's got all this money to invest. Why haven't they found somebody willing to create a company to go up against the WWE? And they haven't necessarily gone up against the WWE yet, but they're setting up a pretty good legacy to do so. Down the road, you would think COVID would have taken them out, but it did not. They are still strong. They are doing their shows. Just so happens they're in Florida, so they get to use Vince McMahon's political ties against him.
Well, and when there's a money mark like Tony Khan, that's never going to die until he doesn't, or Daddy doesn't want to pay for it anymore.
Well, they didn't have to pay off a politician. Vince McMahon had somebody in his pocket to say, oh, yeah, by the way, wrestling is an essential entertainment necessity.
That's true, but they pay off Dave Meltzer to say great things about him. But hey, all right, Greg Cherry, best thing in AEW right now.
There's so much good in AEW right now.
The cream of the crop, like Macho Man would say.
The cream of the crop is
whoa.
Chris Jericho's ability after what?
We got to get it Macho Man voice style.
See what I did right there?
100.
It's
He wasn't ready for that.
I'm doing it. Give me a second.
Got to get in character.
Yeah, let me tell you the best part about AEW right now. Yeah, it's Chris Jericho's ability after almost 30 years, maybe 30 plus. Yeah, his ability to get as many people over as he possibly can. Yeah, what he's doing with Orange Cassidy, beating him with the bag of oranges, calling him Blood Orange Cassidy. Yeah, stuff like that's creative. Yeah, and it's amazing to me that Chris Jericho has brought so much interest into a character that's not really supposed to be taken seriously. Yeah, and his ability to probably send Orange Cassidy to like a main event popularity level is amazing. Yeah.
There you go. So I take it the Orange Cassidy and Jericho stuff, or Jericho in general, for you, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, Jericho is so giving to the business. And the fact that he wants to work with all these young guys to get them elevated. Because obviously Chris Jericho is not going to be around forever. We can hope, but he's not going to be around forever. So him pushing the future of the business is awesome. And Chris Jericho is such a good guy for doing that. And obviously they have the tag division. Britt Baker is also amazing. Her heel work is outstanding. I love Britt Baker, not just because she's from Pittsburgh, guys. It helps, but not just because of that. And Cody's doing great things with the TNT Championship. Mox is doing good things with the World Championship. Like I said, so much good in AEW.
Well, thank you, Greg. Before I go to Aaron, I'm going to go to you, Jeff. You got any impressions you want to talk about AEW?
Make me fall, Jerry. Thank you for that, you asshole.
I took the pressure off Aaron, so go.
Yeah, thanks. No impressions. I get paid well for that, unfortunately. The best thing about AEW right now is, I'm going to kind of piggyback on what Stefan said, is just its existence. The fact that it survived what could have been a complete, derailment of their momentum with the COVID-19 outbreak. The fact that, honestly, they could have easily said, we tried, and we don't have anywhere to, it is what it is, so we're done. But no, they managed to find a way to persevere and survive, and they've kicked serious ass in the process of doing it. I love Jericho stuff. You guys have all touched on Jericho, especially Macho Man out there in Pennsylvania. He was tremendous on that. MJF, nobody's MJF. MJF is, again, not being, really utilized a whole lot, but when he's on, he's great. Jake Roberts and his stuff with Archer, he's good. There's a little bit of good in every segment, and I think that's the key. WWE in a 3-hour show or a 2-hour show on Friday, it kind of, okay, come on, give me something to latch on to. Whereas, if I'm on TNT on Wednesday, I'm going, all right, I can dig this. This is working for me. So that's the difference. I forget who made the comparison years ago, but wrestling is supposed to be a 3-ring circus. If you don't like Circle A, Circle B is great. If not, Circle C will do something for you. So AEW's got that 3-ring circus. It's quality shit.
Well said, West Coast professor. Well said. Pat yourself on the back like Barry Horowitz.
And no, I'm not doing a Psycho Sid impression because I'm not going to go off the table and break my leg. Thank you very much. Let's move right along.
All right, Aaron Riff, thoughts on AEW's best thing right now?
Wow, that was something else. Adrian sent in a $2 super chat. Says I could do a Martin Luther King promo. Well, good for you, Adrian.
If you want to videotape it, maybe we'll post it. Sure, why not?
Anyways, AEW has been fun. They've done very good with the COVID shows. I mean, they've been doing well since the beginning. AEW has managed to produce entertaining television consistently since the promotion got going. They've kept the momentum going. They've been bringing in some new faces. We've seen Matt Hardy come in. We've seen Brody Lee. And somebody in the chat room asked who's next. I don't think it's going to be Goldberg. I would be very surprised if it was Goldberg. But
please no.
Yeah. But maybe Rusev, maybe Zack Ryder. I mean, there's a number of guys we could end up seeing from WWE. We just saw FTR debut. And I'm looking forward to Fyter Fest. I think AEW's done a good job of building up their major shows, and I like the idea of spreading it out into 2 weeks. Infamous Christian with a $2 super chat says, Greg Cherry is Kevin Owens 2.0, but more over with charisma. Well, there you go. Greg, thoughts on that?
I'll take it if you think I'm more over. If you think I'm more over, buy a shirt. teespring.com/store/Greg Cherry brand. Help me to get over even more.
There you go. Cheap plug there. Buddy Darius says, wish Big G could have been on the panel. Well, maybe towards the end of this video, somebody could step out and maybe we could have Big G come on for a brief period to say hi to everybody.
It seems to me that Buddy seems to be the king of nitpicking throughout this whole chat. I'm just throwing it out there. He's been kind of a pain in the ass all night. So.
Well, how do we know Big G's like where he could jump back on? We wouldn't want to have someone dump out and then Big G doesn't sign back in.
True. Big G, let me know if you're still around. Maybe we could get you on for a brief cameo. Somebody could step out and let you come in for a few minutes to say hi. It is 100, so yeah. For some reason, guys, when we tried to have 6 on, my whole setup here completely crashed. So apparently, this app I use cannot handle 6 people. Too much. But
no, we know.
5,
well, if I can mention.
Ahead.
That was my original idea, was to bring Greg on so he could talk about AEW, since my opinion wouldn't matter. But since Jeff kind of piggybacked off of mine, I thought I had a better one, a better thing that's so good about AEW. And I think Virtue might appreciate this, especially coming from me. I am glad that AEW beats NXT in the ratings every week.
Elaborate.
There are 2 very good reasons for this. One, it keeps NXT in check. I do not want to see NXT become a third brand, like an official third brand where they start having NXT matches on pay-per-views instead of NXT TakeOver every couple of pay-per-views. I want it to remain in its place as this sort of bridge between NXT UK and whatever new developmental brands that they start once this is all over, and WWE. Second, AEW and TNT need to not only beat NXT, but they need to start getting more and more fans to where they can actually compete with WWE. They need to become another alternate product that's just as big, that you can find just as easily. They need their own network. They need a lot of things that are just going to come with more fans. They need more fans. There needs to be an alternative to WWE, because the only way WWE and NXT are going to get better and stay better is to have actual competition. So there you go.
There you go. All right. So are we ready to do the main event? Oh, yes, Aaron.
So we do have a few super chats here. Big G is still around. He says, coming from an NXT guy, I'm enjoying AEW more and more. Well, maybe we could get Big G on here in a second. Stefan, would you mind stepping out for Big G to come on?
I got you. Can I do my plugs?
Absolutely. I was going to say, if you would like to go ahead and do your plugs.
All right.
So wait. So is this going to be for the rest of the show, or is Stefan coming back?
No, just rest of the show. It's fine.
Okay. So do your thing, man.
If this works once, let's not try it and see if it works twice.
Right. Do your plugs, man.
So you can find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. That's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. Look us up at, there it was, the NX team at Aftermatch Wrestling YouTube. That's where you'll find our NXT and, when they come back, NXT UK reviews. We also do predictions for all NXT and WWE events. And find me on Facebook on Armbar. That's Jerry's group. All caps, ARMBAR, exclamation point. And you can also find the shirt on Greg Cherry's channel on his Teespring, the Armbar shirt. And that's it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Aaron. Happy 100 Virtue. And I'll see you guys on the next video.
All right. Thank you very much, Stefan.
Yes.
All right,
bye, guys.
Take care, Stefan.
Drum roll, please, for Big G. Let's see how long this takes to come on.
Right. Well, we do have a nice little reference to vacation there. Aubrey James just sent in a $10 super chat. So let's go ahead and read that off here. He says, I used to be a fan of NXT when they were on the network. I cannot get invested in NXT anymore, knowing they'll go to the main roster and get buried.
The Big Baller G is on.
Yes, Big Baller G in the house.
What's up, fellas?
Big G,
All
where
right,
are you
Aaron,
at?
I did not. Yeah, you were reading that super chat. Was that a super chat you were reading?
Yeah, I read the super chat, and I agree with Aubrey James. Now, let's try to get Big G on here. There he is, Big G. Welcome to the No DQ review.
What's up?
100. How's it going, man?
It's doing pretty good. You know, we had some complications at the beginning, like you said. So I took the chain and went out for the first 45 minutes. But I'm back. I'm here, 100th episode. We got a special appearance by Latex Gods, Jericho and Sammy Guevara right there. So, yeah, I've been watching the show, you know, on live with you guys. Pretty good.
Well, thanks for being here. And guess what? It's main event time. That's why you're here. Aaron, do we need to answer that super chat before we move on? Because Big G kind of joined as you were talking. I don't know if we addressed it.
Well, Big G, I think he said, coming from an NXT guy, I'm enjoying AEW more and more. So, Big G, real quick, could you elaborate on that?
I mean, you guys pretty much summed it up. There's not much else to say. I am enjoying the Jericho stuff.
That's the Big G answer we all wanted on the 100th episode of the review, and we got it.
There you go.
All right. Aubrey James sent in a $5 super chat. Says, R.I.P. Apollo Crews' push. Watch he loses his title the next 2 weeks. R.I.P. Raw Creative. So, Big G, I'll throw this over to you so you can talk a little bit here. Your thoughts on Apollo's push and his new music, and do you think it's going to last, or do you think Vince is going to give up on him in 2 weeks?
I'm liking it, but I don't think he's going to lose the title. I think he and Benjamin will be joining MVP's stable eventually. And two other people that I like to throw out to join MVP that haven't been on TV, who I think who needs a heel turn big time, are Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. Just make this big old stable of the people that haven't been used and just make them all heel. So.
Oh, I like it.
And Adrian sent in a $20 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Adrian. We really do appreciate it. He says, only one person has big grapefruits around here, and it's not Big G. Whoa. I wonder who he's talking about. Jeff Meacham? Must be Jeff. And
but he's not big grapefruit G. He's big baller G.
Big baller G.
Baller G.
I'll be Dreams.
That's
Oh,
funny when you did that spot right there. You saw Sammy Guevara's face right through your arms.
Yeah. Ballin'. No.
All right. Big G, I'm going to start with you on the main
All
event. And it's this past Monday Night Raw. No more Heyman writing Raw. We know it's Bruce Pritchard doing all of it. We know they got young writers, and it all still goes through Vince McMahon. But you know what they did on Raw this week? They had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a cliffhanger. Christian was involved, Randy Orton, and this is Vince Russo's specialty. Why can't they do this more often? What's your take? Is this a Raw and a step in the right direction? This is how WWE TV used to be. Aaron knows every week back in the day, Raw, beginning, middle, and end, cliffhanger. I mean, Nitro even did it well. That's what wrestling was, because people were competing against each other, and they needed to try to get people from one channel to another. And WWE just kind of coasts the last 20 years.
Yeah, they have been.
It seemed like they could get the ball rolling in the right direction. What is your thoughts here on Raw having things like what just happened, especially with the whole Christian and Orton thing?
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed the whole Christian thing. Randy Orton being involved with it, bringing the punt back. Ric Flair getting involved, turning heel for the millionth time again.
That was awesome.
And so I guess next week, Ric Flair is going to come out and introduce everybody to Randy Orton as the greatest wrestler ever. Yada, yada, yada. But I did like it. Like you said, beginning, middle, end, cliffhanger. Where's it going to lead till next week? Is Christian going to come back for one more match, if he's medically cleared? I hear myself echoing.
Yeah, we've been having a couple issues throughout the evening.
Yeah, it's fine. I hope WWE sticks to this course and keeps us, hanging on the edge of our seat. Like, give us something good, give us something to grab onto, to look forward to the week after and the week after and the week after and so forth and so forth. Other than that, not much else to say.
That's what TV shows should do. What TV show have you watched, whether Netflix you've binge watched before? Yeah, I know Aaron gets into a lot of TV shows. Is there one you can name? I just want to use this as an example here.
Supernatural.
Is there cliffhangers at the end of every one of those episodes for the next?
Yes.
That's TV.
Yep.
That's TV. Greg Cherry, thoughts here?
I agree. I miss the cliffhangers. I think I brought this up on stream fairly recently that I miss cliffhangers in wrestling, because if you want to watch the next week, if you want them to watch the next week, it's like build that intrigue. At the main event, make something happen where the story continues. Don't just have a match, have somebody win, and that be it. You got to build a storyline to build your next week's show, to build the pay-per-views. You got to keep people wanting to tune in. There's not that must-see factor on WWE TV anymore. And I don't know whether it's a guy like Brock or a guy like Roman, or if it's just the fact that these creative writers I don't know what the deal is, that they can't write these cliffhanger stories. Is it Vince? Is it the fact that they can't write? Is it Pritchard? What is it? Because they used to be able to do it. Why can't they do it now?
Yeah. Now, thank you, Greg. Jeff, not just cliffhangers, but good ones. Like, what's your thoughts here?
Well, it's, they continually call Raw the longest running episodic weekly television history. When was the last time that show was actually episodic? Like, okay,
that's a great point.
They're building toward Money in the Bank. They're building toward Backlash. They're building toward the end game, if you will. Episodic end game, very good there. But the week to week, it's like I want so bad to be going at 11 o'clock, going, but wait, huh? I haven't done that in 10 years, at least.
We need water cooler talk at the office on the next day.
Thank you very much. Yes. That's the greatest word in the history of television is water cooler talk. Because I used to go to school every Tuesday morning going, see what the hell happened last night? Holy shit. It's stuff like that. And we don't even get that anymore. And it's very frustrating as a longtime fan. Somebody mentioned, 30 years or whatever. October's 30 years for me. So it's, I remember going to elementary school the next day after a pay-per-view, and wow, I can't believe that so-and-so won the title, or so so it's definitely changed, and not for the better. And again, we live in a different society now. I understand that, but you mentioned episodic TV and what great G watches Supernatural or watch Supernatural. I got into Once Upon a Time late in the game in its development. I got into it at the beginning of season 4, but I binge watched the hell out of 1 through 3 over that summer, and I was hating having to put the remote down and walk away to go do basic life functions. I got into that show so much, so I was like, "Damn, this is good stuff." So,
thank you, Jeff. All right, back to you, Aaron, to discuss this. I know you're a TV guy and you like those type of cliffhangers to keep watching a show and talking about how great they are, and we just don't do that much for wrestling these days.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked Raw because we had a lot of storylines and we had a cliffhanger. We have stuff to look forward to on next week's show. Now, Aubrey James sent in a couple of super chats. One earlier asked you, Virtue, where's Bianca Belair? Like, I think WWE just doesn't have any creative.
She was supposed to be with what's their names? The
Profits.
Yeah, like and it's just dropped. I mean, at this point, where's Shayna Baszler, right, Big G?
Right?
Like, bring these women on TV and let them.
That's a whole nother video.
Shayna Baszler versus Bianca Belair.
That's a whole nother video.
There's a feud. You can have a feud. A feud doesn't even have to have the title involved right now. There's a feud. Nope, let's not have either one of them on a 3-hour show. It's a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
A 3-hour show.
3 hours.
The Professor and Mary Ann.
Well, see, the West Coast first talk about the Professor, Mary Ann. So that's,
The Professor.
it all
Jeff
ties
Mitchell.
together, kids.
All right,
It all
so
ties back to wrestling.
Aubrey James sent in a $10 super chat, says, I truly believe Paul Heyman was the scapegoat when things go bad. He wasn't really writing the show, that he just gave his ideas to Bruce Pritchard, or Bruce Pritchard ruined SmackDown in his opinion. See, I think Pritchard has done some decent things with SmackDown. SmackDown's been overall an interesting show, and the Jeff Hardy storyline, yeah, it hasn't exactly been in the best taste, but it's been something that has gotten people talking, which is more than what you could say for a lot of storylines. Greg?
The best part of SmackDown is Sasha and Bayley. Fight me.
There you go.
Well, and with Heyman, Aaron, he needs to be able to do his thing. I mean, he had that great run on writing for SmackDown and booking SmackDown in the past. ECW became a cult. Yeah, we know he was extreme, but if Heyman can't be Heyman, like, that's why Russo would never go back. If Russo can't be Russo, and then they're not going to put their stuff out there. Yeah. And Heyman was probably just collecting a paycheck.
Now,
probably doesn't even care.
Oh, Big G, go ahead.
So, since we're talking about cliffhangers and stuff like that, have you guys noticed if AEW's been doing that at all with some of the storylines they've been doing?
Well, with
or
Tyson,
not really.
They do and they don't. They don't do it consistently.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree on that. Sometimes they'll just do a match and you'll have the finish of the match and then that'll be the end of it. But at least recently they did the one with Tyson, and that was probably the biggest one they've done, although did not seem to really help them in the numbers all that much. Wow. Now, Adrian sent in a $5 super chat, says, I'd recommend Dead to Me on Netflix. I can afford all the super chats as I haven't shaved my hair since March.
Oh, my God.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
That
Save
explains
some
it.
for tomorrow, Adrian.
Right on. Because Greg is doing a live stream after this tomorrow. So make sure you guys check it out here on the NoDQ channel. And Psycho Jet
I'll be
Black,
back for that now.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, would you rather meet Jackson Riker or Tank Abbott? Big G, who would you rather meet?
Neither.
Oh, there you go. I think, I don't know about this one. I have no comment on it because Tank Abbott would probably kick my ass. Jeff, what do you think?
I've met Jackson Riker. He's not the crazy person everybody thinks he is off camera. So definitely Jackson.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I met him when he was Phil Shatter working for the NWA as national champion. That's the only reason I had to meet him. So,
hey, he won that title in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Was that
And he only lost the World Championship match because Adam Pearce happened to be in the match too. So you're not gonna beat the Scrap Daddy. It ain't gonna happen for the world title. It ain't gonna happen unless you're Colt Cabana.
So hopefully, Raw. I mean, WWE can get track, and fans can come back. We just need entertaining television.
All right, now Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says Bart Gunn versus Judy Bagwell in an Inferno match. Well, that is some wild fantasy.
What is
video
this
game
guy's
booking
obsession
right
with Bart Gunn? Is he obsessed with this guy?
I think
Bart Gunn's a
Bart
former
Gunn-
tag team champion.
I forgot
I
to
know
mention
that,
at the
but-
beginning, Bart Gunn was like the biggest discussion in the history of this series. Hold on,
I was going to say, somebody brought me in the chat that people loved our Brawl for All debate. It's like, man, that went on for about 45 minutes, about 44 minutes too long. Honest to God. So it was ridiculous.
Bart Gunn's been more relevant on the review than it was in WWE.
There
It's
you go.
very true.
That's true.
Just ask
If anything, Bart Gunn should be in the NoDQ Hall of Fame instead of EC3. So there's that.
There you go.
Well, thank you for bringing Bart Gunn up in a super chat, and he made episode 100 because of you, the NoDQ Galaxy.
And Bart Gunn's
And
career
Aaron is
finished
really,
for that,
really
yes.
trying to get Caitlin. If she doesn't come over on the 100th episode, I'll give her a shout out because
Come on,
it's
Caitlin.
Caitlin. She's part of the team. So whether she's on or not, all the ladies of NoDQ get a proper shout out.
That's it.
Anything else you'd like to add? Anybody? Aaron, any more super chats? I am wrapping it up. I think we've done a great episode 100.
Wait a minute.
I'm glad that it went off pretty much without a hitch.
The This Guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat says, is it too late for Bobby to lose to win the big one? Congrats.
Yeah.
He could. He could, but
Yay!
Bobby Lashley could win, but will they make him win? He should. I mean,
I would like to see Lashley as champion. Hi, Caitlin.
ladies and
I'd like to
gentlemen,
see Lashley.
Caitlin Bella is on the NoDQ review number 100. Woo!
Hello.
Oh, hang on. Okay, hang on. The chat is saying that Aaron's window is missing.
Yeah.
Which it is.
You got
The
kidding me.
window's missing.
Oh, okay. Now it's just Aaron's window. Kayl's on the show by herself now. And now it's for you. Okay, what the hell? That's so weird.
What is
There.
going on?
Can't
What
see
is-
myself.
What the hell is happening?
The hacker has hit NoDQ review 100.
The hacker
That's
hit
what's
the
happening.
Oh my God.
Caitlin, talk about what you love in wrestling from the past year, because I think you'll come up on the screen.
The past year. Well.
What's your favorite? There has to be.
You're putting me on the spot. I didn't know I was coming on until like 2 seconds ago. Not a lot has been my favorite in this year specifically. I'll say that. I've been getting distracted quite a bit during the shows and on my phone. But last year takes us through June of last year. I guess I enjoyed the Royal Rumble this year. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Greg Sher will agree with that. He always loves those shows.
Yeah, and then, it was really cool with Edge, but unfortunately the internet where we were watching it was terrible and it cut out like while he came out, so that was quite a bit of a letdown.
You know what? That happened here too, actually. So it may not have been just you.
Yeah, but where we were, it's really bad. Like it cuts out all the time. Yours cut out while Edge was making his entrance?
Yeah, my ironically, I was in the garage when it happened, and my dad like bellowed from across the house, "Edge's music!" I'm like, my fat ass ran across the house and the freaking feed spaz. So I was like, "Oh,
Here's
really?"
something I have for you, Caitlin. Do they still do the Total Bella show? Is it
Yes,
still on?
actually, they just had
Did
the.
that not beat both AEW and NXT in ratings? That is, and I mean, come on. I rest my case. And I love
There you go.
AEW, that show is drawing more. So
yeah, and they were picked up for another season as well.
Okay.
So get Tony Khan, do what you need to do to get more viewers. I mean, you should be able to beat Total Bellas. Nothing against Total Bellas, Caitlin, but you know what I mean.
I hear
It draws
you.
a wrestling audience, but it draws more of a casual audience because people like those reality drama shows. I had to bring that up.
Dun, dun, dun.
Thank you.
You want me to read that one?
Yeah.
Oh, he wants me to read the super chat from Adrian.
Okay.
$5. Buy Caitlin a bottle of champagne for episode 100, Aaron. Well, he could
There
buy
you
me
go.
a bottle of wine because I don't really drink champagne. So.
No wine. Tony Aaron, make it happen.
Psycho Jet Black, $2 super chat. Rift Aronson, and you moved it on me. Rift Aronson cuts better promos than Ricochet.
True story.
So there you go. You want your headphones back now?
Thank you, Caitlin, for
She's
joining
done.
us.
She's over it. She's
Being
over it.
put on the spot. Now she's gonna angrily.
Super
She's
chat.
gonna.
Oh, yeah.
She's gonna be mad to Aaron about. First, you told me a question I wasn't prepared to answer. Thank you.
No, it's all good.
Thank-
Bye, guys.
NoDQ Galaxy.
Bye.
And you can get Caitlin's shirt on the Greg Cherry brand t-shirt store, mainly because I designed it. So that's
All right, Aaron.
There you go.
That's
Give
it.
all. That's it. There you go.
That is all we have. We can go around and do our plugs, and maybe when it comes back to Aaron, he might have a couple more
I'm
super
back,
chats.
and I'm
Big-
not sure what happened with trying to get everybody on the screen. Like, it totally glitched on me. So
It's major spazzing here.
Oh well.
it was the
Big
no
G-
DQ hacker. Maybe Rift Aronson is back. That son of a bitch.
I don't know.
Right?
But let me do the $5 super chat from Aubrey James. I cannot take Bobby Lashley seriously. They buried him too much. See, I disagree. I think MVP really has brought the best out of Lashley, and for the first time, Lashley, I feel, has some real credibility. This should have happened a long time ago. Like, I think Lashley being in there with Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon, that whole storyline was lame, and then the Lana stuff. Like, now Lashley finally feels like a killer. And Aubrey James sent in a $50 super chat, says, "This is for Caitlin." Did you read that one?
No, she didn't.
Well, see, I was trying to get Caitlin to come on, and she came on, and we got a big super chat. So
what an episode!
There you
I
go.
love it.
Caitlin's a draw.
she is a draw. You're a bona fide draw.
Caitlin is money.
There you go. Jeff just
There you
said
go.
Caitlin
Make the
is
shirt,
money.
Greg.
All right, so I guess we can go ahead and do the plugs now. Thank you guys so much for the super chats, and I do apologize if we missed anybody. And yeah, I'm just going to blame any technical problems from now on. I blame it on Rift Aronson, and maybe I have to investigate and find out what that son of a bitch is doing to us. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, "I look like a shaved head Jesse Pinkman." Yeah, bitch.
Oh.
Yeah, bitch.
All right.
Well,
I
thank
finally watched the pilot, by the way. Oh my god.
Big G. We'll start the plugs. We'll go. Let's
All
go.
right.
We'll say
So
bye.
before I start my plugs, just like the shirt says, last call. If you have any more super chats, get them in. NoDQ.com Big Ballology takes it to my Twitter page. NoDQ _Big Ballology 1988 on my Instagram, where you can check out my song of the day and all that good stuff. And Facebook, Jeff Hiltzel. That's it for me. Greg, take it away, brother.
Well, you can check out me in my continual reign as the NoDQ.com Wrestling Trivia Challenge champion,
You're not
830 plus
worthy.
days strong. And the road to 1,000 is, I'm hoping happens this year. That's what I want. I want to hit 1,000 days. But you can check that out on the Greg Cherry Brand YouTube channel. Of course, Greg Cherry Brand on Twitter and Instagram, and teespring.com/stores/Greg Cherry Brand. Get the shirt Big G's wearing. Get the shirt I'm wearing. Jeff owns a shirt. Caitlin has a shirt. A lot of NoDQ personalities have a shirt that have asked me about it. And if anybody else wants one, I can make you one and you can buy it. So there you go.
Well, thank you, Greg. All right, Jeff Meacham.
YouTube.com/Jeff Meacham, Anchor.fm/Jeff Meacham Network, Twitter and Instagram _Jeff Meacham. Let's see, Twitter at JMeach Podcast, Instagram at the Jeff Meacham Network. Teespring.com is a horrible name. I'm going to change it, but it's Jeff-Meacham-Network for the store. You can buy this shirt, by the way. This finally came in the mail after weeks of dealing with Teespring's drama. Bayley still doesn't have her shirt. I'm really mad at Teespring, and I really need to crawl up your butt about it. I'm going to after the weekend because I'm still pissed at them. But they're doing a great job to everybody else, so I can't complain too much. Greg, of course, on the NoDQ.com Trivia Challenge. You can see him every other Friday on his channel. Every other Friday on my channel, you can see the Dads on Wrestling with JJ and I doing our top 10 or top whatever the case may be that week, either wrestling or not. Wrestling Rewind with Greg and I on the Jeff Meacham Network. This week is King of the Ring 2001. God help us all watching Shane get bloody and brutal and beat up. It's gonna be good stuff.
That so much.
It's one of the greatest matches of all time. Fight me.
It's my favorite match.
Exactly. So we're gonna have a good time on Wednesday for sure. So stay tuned for that. And Monday, of course, is Talk Wrestling. Ask me anything. So there you go.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, Aaron Riff, back to you.
Okay, we do have a few more super chats. We're basically experimenting here at the end of this live stream with all the back and forth with the screens and everything. I'm just messing around with it, trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing here. You would think after all these videos I would finally have it figured out, but we changed things up for episode 100. We've gone long here. We do have some more super chats, so we're not quite done yet. Adrian sent in a $2 super chat, says, got my shirt yesterday. Greg, thanks again. So that's from Adrian. And then Gabe sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Greg. Or not Greg, Gabe. Too many G's in here, including Big G.
Hey.
Gabe said, great show, guys. Congrats on 100 episodes. Thank you very much for that, Gabe. And the This Guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat, says, will the Hurricane Shane Helms, I presume, go into the Hall of Fame someday? I say there's a good chance. You guys know my saying. Jeff, what's my saying?
Anything can happen.
If Coco Beware can go in.
Okay, yeah. If Coco Beware is in the WWE Hall of Fame, then EC3 can be in the NoDQ Hall of Fame. So there's that. Yeah. So.
All right. So that's all I got, other than just stay tuned to NoDQ.com, and thank you guys so much for your continued support and being patient with us throughout the technical difficulties. If you guys want 100 more, just keep watching, keep telling people, and hopefully we can get some more people tuning in, and we keep getting the support and the love. We'll keep doing it. We'll keep doing
the super chats.
Yeah, doesn't hurt.
Aaron.
And DYEV says, if Coco Beware can go into the Hall of Fame, anything is possible. LOL. Well, Dre says, talk forever, clap, clap, clap. Big G, since you were gone, is there anything from earlier you want to address, like give your thoughts on from when Stefan was on?
Not really. I mean, I just want to say this. I've enjoyed doing these videos with you guys for the past however long we've been doing these videos. It's great talking to you guys all the time about wrestling and stuff like that. So other than that, not much else to say.
All right. It's back to me finally. So thank you.
It's back to you, Virtue. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Where am I? I have no. I'm not sure why I can't get myself back on the screen with everybody.
Well, anyway, thanks to Jeff Meacham, Big G, Big Baller G, Aaron Rift, Greg Cherry, TJS, Stefan Osborne, San, Caitlin, Big Vito, Jexy, and the list goes on. Everybody that's been on the NoDQ review. Now, look, if we get 100 thumbs up on this 100th episode, I will probably get my ass kicked like Jeff Meacham did in the very first episode of Wrestling Trivia Challenge. But Greg has never had the opportunity to kick my ass. If we get to 100, I will entertain, if Jeff and Greg can make it happen, to be a challenger to Greg Terry at the Wrestling Trivia Challenge if this video hits 100 likes. So I don't know if YouTube will allow your fake accounts to give us or thumbs up, but there you have it, people. That's my big announcement.
Do it.
So, Jeff, so I'm sure Greg will be promoting this to get it to 100 likes. Jeff will too. So thank you, NoDQ Galaxy. Thank you, elite team of NoDQ. I am Virtue. Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. We've went almost an hour and a half.
Virtue.
Oh my God, episode 100.
Virtue, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are we still here? Okay.
Yeah.
We do have a super chat here from Adrian with $5. Says, for future episodes, will you consider guest contributors? Cough, cough. If I can figure out how to swap everything properly, we'll do more of this where we'll bring on some different people throughout the episode. Maybe specific people could be on for specific topics. But as you guys can see, it's a little bit of a challenge for me, production-wise, to pull it off. So you'll have to bear with me.
We're going to test new technology, guys, off the air once we're done with the show today. Aaron and I are going to test out some things. We're gonna get this straightened out by next week for sure.
All right, Caitlin, any plugs you got for everybody? Your Twitter. She has none. Go to, I think.
So here's how we're going to end it.
NoDQ.com.
No, just leave it alone.
3, 2, 1 countdown. We're all going to say bye. 3, 2, 1.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Peace.